time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Well, good day, everybody. I'm Brad Miller, and we welcome you to the program. It is Countywide. Happy to welcome into our studios today a couple of guests that we have chatted with before, including a roundtable within the past year, talking about prescription drugs, particularly today, but other issues kind of related to MATForce, the organization formed, 5 or 6 years ago.
It's been close to 7 years.
7 years ago, and Richard Dainert and Dr. Leon Catolico, driving forces, I think it's safe to say, within this organization. And guys, we welcome you back into studio.
Thank you.
And
Nice to be back.
Appreciate you coming in today. Representing MATForce, as you so often do in what you do in our communities. Whereas, as we were chatting before the show, Richard, MATForce kind of started with the methamphetamine issue when it was really bubbling hot a few years ago.
Right.
And it certainly hasn't gone away, but the focus has kind of changed a little bit in recent months or the past year or two to the prescription drug issues. We've done shows here. Certainly you don't have to look far or go far, dig deep in your newspaper to find stories, excuse me, where prescription drug abuse is causing a lot of problems in Yavapai County and across the country. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and it's really good to be back to talk about this because we've made a lot of progress since the roundtable discussion that we had about a year ago here. And Dr. Catolico and I and other members of MATForce have mounted a campaign which we call Sign Up to Save Lives, and we're going to explain what that is, but we think it's a major initiative to help get some control over the amount of prescription medication that is being dispensed here in Yavapai County, and we think that our efforts here will set a model for the state. So we're hoping that we're going to be effective in this effort, and we really believe that it's going to save lives.
As MATForce led the way across, certainly in Arizona, with the pseudoephedrine and the sign-ups and all of those kinds of steps, that seems to have paid off. We just don't hear about meth as much as we used to. To me, that's a good thing, but we've had police and law enforcement tell us, well, they're replacing it with other things, and maybe that's the downside of it. But all in all, it seems like keeping that mill aggregated, if you will, is causing some of the problems to fall away.
Well, when we go back to the meth crisis, which was really at its height in about 2005 when MATForce got started, it was the city of Cottonwood that was the first municipality in the state of Arizona to adopt an ordinance requiring people to sign up or to get show ID and sign in when they bought the precursors of methamphetamine, the over-the-counter medications that were being used to cook meth. Right. And the results were astounding. Over a couple of years, the number of criminal complaints filed by the county attorney's office declined by 40%. There was a huge amount of crime associated with methamphetamine. And when we got our campaign going, and when the meth labs moved out of Yavapai County, and people knew that we were very serious about enforcing the laws here in Yavapai County, the use dropped, the crime associated with it dropped, and we're hoping to be just as successful with this campaign about prescription drug abuse and misuse.
Doctor, I want to get your perspective as a medical doctor, a practicing physician for many, many years in our community. It seems to me your position may be better than any other member of MATForce to kind of talk to this issue where it kind of starts, and if I'm right in saying that, with physicians, with doctors themselves. Is that right?
Well, that's correct. And the fact that I have a background in pharmacy, being a graduate of Temple University Pharmacy School before medical school, also gives me an aspect of knowing both sides of the coin. Right now, what we're trying to do is get physicians signed up to use this prescription drug monitoring site so that they can monitor what their patients are doing, perhaps in the past and present. We've been successful, as Richard said, in getting corporate pharmacies to finally accede to our wishes and allow their pharmacists to use this site so that there's better communication between the pharmacist and the physician. In the days when I started pharmacy, of course, things were a lot simpler. It was very easy to get a physician on the phone from the pharmacy and alert him to a problem. Today's fast-paced business aspect of pharmacy will not allow that. However, there are times when a pharmacist has to talk to a physician, either via fax or phone, about a patient. And using this monitoring site will help us as physicians and help the pharmacists to control what seems to be an out-of-control situation right now with the use of use and overuse of prescription narcotics and controlled substances.
Is the problem, I kind of think of this in two ways, that we have people who are faking prescriptions, stealing them, whatever, getting them by some means and taking them, say, to multiple, pill shopping.
Yes.
And then other folks who maybe have no criminal intent at all, but are being prescribed maybe more of a certain medicine, a painkiller, say, than they need, or the wrong kind. Am I on the right track when I look at it like that?
You're on the right track in that. And in some cases, for instance, minor procedures, which don't require long-term use of narcotics, a patient may be given 50 pills when they might as well be given 20.
Okay.
And limit the amount. And if they need more, they can contact the doctor and get a refill on that.
Right.
So what we're seeing in some cases is that excessive amounts are being prescribed, they're not being used, and then those medications, for some reason or another, are left around the house and find their way back into abusive situations.
Right.
So what we're trying to do, and what the federal government is going to start in 2012, is educate physicians and other providers as to the use of these narcotics, which patients are suitable, what are the addictive liabilities, etc., and try to get things more in line with what is really needed at this point. The educational program that's out there right now for physicians and providers is voluntary. It'll be mandatory as of 2014 by the federal government, to the point that if you don't take this course, pass the course, you will not be able to prescribe Schedule 2 or 3 narcotic prescriptions. So it's going to be vitally important for everybody to pay attention to this matter.
And you gave the example of patient A needed 20, perhaps, pills,
right,
and was prescribed 50. Why did that happen in the first place? I know every doctor, every patient's going to be different, but...
Well, sometimes the patient will say, I have to pay as much for 20 pills as I do for 50 on my copay.
Cost.
Cost is a problem. Convenience is another problem, that they don't want to have to call the doctor back and get another 20. But in the long run, whether it's cost or whether it's convenience, something has to be done to cut down the number of prescriptions that are in excessive amounts.
Okay.
Brad, numbers really are how we started this campaign, because we looked at, the first number we looked at was that 8 people in Yavapai County had died as a result of prescription drug abuse or misuse. That number is now up to 10, and those are only the ones that we can confirm are directly related to prescription medication. And then we started, Dr. Catolico got on the PDMP, we call it, the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, which is the database he referred to, and found some amazing numbers about Yavapai County. And if you don't mind, let me just go through those real quickly. 8,265,000 hydrocodone pills were dispensed by prescription here in Yavapai County in 1 year, and that's ending last June 30th. Almost 5 million oxycodone, almost 2 million cariprazole, almost, over 4.5 million benzodiazepine. That's 92 prescription drug medications, controlled substances for every man, woman, and child in Yavapai County during that year.
Can we compare those numbers? Do you have, say, a county of a similar size in another state?
Actually, we have not looked at other states, but we have compared to other counties in Arizona. And Yavapai County is high as far as the relationship between the number of pills dispensed and the population.
Do we know why? Do we have a theory? I mean,
no, I don't know that we know exactly why. However, in talking to the corporate pharmacies when we did, to the district managers, they all stated the same thing, that statewide, in all pharmacies, hydrocodone is the #1 prescribed and sold medication in our state, and second is oxycodone.
These are powerful painkillers.
Yes, hydrocodone is a so-called Schedule 3 prescription, which can be phoned in or can be refilled.
Okay.
Schedule 2, oxycodone and the like, those prescriptions have to have an original new prescription every time they're filled. And state law now requires that those prescriptions be printed on a special blue paper that if they attempt to photocopy it or fax that, it comes out void.
Okay.
All right. Now, Schedule 3, to this point, has not been given that status, but actually, I think in the long run, that may have to happen.
One of the many things you're trying to do.
Now, of course, the pharmacists and some of the societies are balking at that because of the inconvenience that might ensue, but it is something that might have to happen.
We can take a break. I want to ask you a little bit about that, the inconvenience. It is a whole kind of new thing. We are trying to re-educate physicians, pharmacists, and I guess probably at some point patients into how these things are going to work. That can be tough, but will it pay off in the long run? A couple of gentlemen that certainly believe it will and will hope and work to do that. With us today, Dr. Leon Catolico, and Richard Dainert. You just became a doctor, Richard. Richard Dainert, MATForce. We'll be back right after this.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Hey, honey.
What's up, buddy?
Honey? I think he's been smoking pot.
Call 911. It's okay, Joey. I'm here. Can you hear me, son?
I'm right here.
Are you with
Is he
me?
breathing?
He's not responsive.
Hello?
Honey, give me a steak knife and a ballpoint pen.
What are you
now,
doing?
step. I'm gonna do mouth to mouth.
No.
You know lots of ways to help your child, but do you know what to do if they're using drugs? The partnership at drugfree.org can help.
Welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. Joining us from MATForce today, Dr. Leon Catolico and Richard Dainert. And talking about Sign Up to Save Lives, an effort, a very concerted effort by MATForce to talk with, I guess, starting with physicians, but ultimately we'll be talking to pharmacists, patients, and everyone else. That's kind of in that pipeline where these very potent substances, the pills the doctor mentioned earlier, can become a problem, whereas they're meant to aid in patient care. And we kind of chatted just as we went to the break about the inconvenience. There's going to be a little disruption in our system, isn't there, Doctor, as we get these resolutions in place?
Well, I would think there's going to be a slight disruption in the system if the pharmacists start checking the site the way they're supposed to, and physicians start checking the site the way they're supposed to. It may interrupt the supply of these medications to certain factions.
But ultimately, patient care is...
But ultimately, it's going to save lives, because if you can identify a patient who has a substance abuse problem through the use of this monitoring site and offer that patient some assistance through substance abuse treatment, which is available at the Verde Valley Guidance Clinic at either low or minimal cost to the patient, you're saving a life. And all the lives that are connected to that patient, children, family, friends. If you can't get the patient to admit that they have a substance abuse problem and they refuse treatment, then your other option is to stop prescribing for that patient, and in hopes that they won't be able to get the medication and will be forced into a program where they can get substance abuse treatment. So both factions are involved in this. It is really patient care, trying to save lives one way or another.
Richard, are these, I just want to focus on just the two drugs that the doctor mentioned. There's a good many more out there. But are they as much of a problem as they are because of their addictive nature? What they are, or simply because there's just so many in the pipe because they're being overprescribed maybe more than others?
Well, there are certainly many aspects to this problem, ranging from the kids who get into mom and dad's medicine cabinet or grandma's medicine cabinet and take out whatever prescription medications they can find or steal and go to a party Friday night and put them in a bowl with all the other meds that the other kids have brought, and they just grab some and eat them, and that's called Skittle Bowl. Two, the people who Dr. Catolico has been able to detect through the prescription drug monitoring program, who are either falsifying prescriptions or who are going through all kinds of a rigmarole to get more medications than they really need, right. Some of which are being sold. We've actually had evidence that people are telling pharmacists, I need this prescription because I have people waiting for me to sell them the pills. And
you can sell a single pill for 10,
oh, yeah.
20 bucks.
I think when it comes to oxycodone, there's a special form of oxycodone called OxyContin, which is a 8 to 12 hour sustained release medication. And from what we've been told by probation officers, the going price for that on the street is $10 per pill, $10 per milligram. In other words, a 10 milligram pill, $10. A 20 milligram pill, $20. And on up to 80, right. $80 for an 80 milligram pill. So it's possible,
some quick math,
for a patient to obtain 180 milligram pills and turn that into $8,000.
Wow.
And if people are addicted to it, they'll pay any price for it. And you know, these medications, particularly OxyContin, originally was designed and marketed to be used for cancer patients in their end stage of the illness, to try to provide as much comfort as possible from the terrible pain. Well, now it's being used for a lot of reasons that don't involve that terminal cancer pain, and as a result, there's more of it available. People are becoming addicted, and there are people with legitimate reasons for using these medications who become addicted. People who have had an injury or a surgery or whatever, and are using these medications in their recovery, but end up being addicted to them, and that's another problem. So it ranges from kids on Friday night to people seriously in the business of buying and selling these to addicted people.
Guys, let's go ahead and pause just for a moment. We need to take our second break. When we come back, I want to get some nuts and bolts details on how this program is going to work and what the folks out there listening to us today, how, if in any way, they can become involved and be supportive. Dr. Leon Catolico, Richard Daynard, our guest today. It's Countywide, and we're back right after this.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families, united. Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Hungry? Yeah. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Welcome back to the program. Wrapping up today with MATForce, Dr. Leon Catolico and Richard Dainert, talking about this very important program, Sign Up to Save Lives. It is an effort being pushed by MATForce and already getting attention at levels even higher up than here in Yavapai County. Folks looking to solve this problem or to address it across our state, across our country, that of prescription drugs, all good intents and purposes, causing more and more problems. Doctor, you mentioned during our break, and I'd like you to share it with the audience, that if patients simply kind of mention to doctors this program or this, that can become a very powerful tool.
Well, it would be very helpful if a patient, the next time they see their physician or healthcare provider, nurse practitioner, dentist, mention to them that it would be a good idea for the county, for the local area, for them to be signed up to use this program, because eventually it's going to help in all areas. Cost effective, prevent crime, right. And help some patients get rid of their addictive problem. So we'd like to see them do that. We've got the Verde Valley Medical Center behind us. They're going to help us sign up doctors at their next staff meeting. And we're going to meet with the Yavapai Regional Medical Center on February 24th to ask them to do the same thing.
Excellent.
So hopefully we're getting these people in line. The corporate pharmacies are now behind us. They do allow their pharmacists access to the site.
Richard, are we making progress on this?
We are. Dr. Catolico just mentioned it. We are making great progress with the corporate pharmacies that have statewide offices. So what we're doing here in Yavapai County will benefit everybody in the state. We're really working hard on getting the physicians signed up for the prescription drug monitoring program. Remember those words and ask your doctor about it.
There you go. If I'm citizen at large, we mentioned if I have a relationship with a doctor, dentist, whoever it may be, that's one way to do it. Beyond that, what can I know? MATForce.org, by the way. Take a look there, and there's a lot of information about many different kinds of arms that MATForce becomes involved in. With this specifically, I guess, just be supportive in whatever way you fancy.
And empty that medicine cabinet. Get the unused and unwanted medications out of the medicine cabinet. Any police department in Yavapai County will accept the medications that you don't want, and they will be disposed of properly according to DEA procedures. We've already collected over 5,000 pounds in Yavapai County.
Yeah.
Representative Mary Bono Mack was on TV this morning saying that nationwide the DEA has collected almost 1 million pounds of unused, unwanted prescription medication. There's too much of it out there. We got to get rid of it.
People are getting the message. Doctor, please.
One more thing I'd like to add is that Marilee Fowler, Sheila Polk, the district attorney, Marilee is the head of MATForce, and I will be attending a prescription drug expert panel meeting in Phoenix this Wednesday. This is a 4-hour meeting to discuss all aspects of the current problem, including law enforcement, medical treatment, and how we can help prevent this problem from getting any worse. Hopefully, out of this is going to come some high suggestions as to what we can really do to stem the tide of this problem. And from that, perhaps help some other states do the same thing.
Is the legislature going to need to get involved in this somewhere, do you think? This is, again, a grassroots effort.
Well, Representative Karen Fan attended one of our MATForce steering committee meetings right here in Cottonwood and is aware of this problem. Of course, our legislature is sort of anti-regulation, but this is there are tools available. The prescription drug monitoring program is a tool available. When we started this, we found out that only 14% of the prescribers in the state of Arizona were signed up for it. We found out that not all of the pharmacies even allowed their pharmacists to use it. That's going to change, and it doesn't require new regulation or new state law. The tools are there, the need is there. If everybody does the right thing, we can make a lot of progress.
Use what you have already. Guys, we thank you for your effort. Continued success to both of you, Dr. Leon Catolico, Richard Dainert, MATForce.org. For more information, we thank you for joining us. It's countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.